Welcome back to the Jacksonville Buzz. I'm Steve Strum. This morning we have Charles Johnston from HeartWired Digital Solutions. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking a little bit offset about a couple of interesting pieces about your company. And the name of the company is always the name of the company. However, the name of your company, HeartWired, has a special way that it has been named. Tell us about that.
It does. It's obviously a play on hardwired, which I came from an IT background. Spent almost 30 years in corporate America. Went on my first mission trip to Haiti. And long story short, I got my heart wrecked there. And when I came back, I felt like I needed to do something different and find a way of giving back and using my gifts and talents to help others. And that's where the name came out of them, because I went through a spiel like everybody else does through branding and whatnot, of what made sense, and I wanted to have something that was fun and playful. And putting heart in front of any business to me was what mattered, because we try to be compassionate with the people that we serve. We focus on nonprofits and small businesses primarily, and I always try to be as empathetic as possible when you're working with somebody like that. And to me, when you start to focus on the heart of why they started their organization or their business, that's what really helps us tell their story. And that's where the HeartWired came from.
And what types of services do you provide to organizations?
We are turning into a full-scale digital marketing agency. We originally started out as a web design agency, but now we offer graphic design, branding, social media marketing, email marketing, content marketing, getting into video, pretty much anything that has to do with your brand, both online and offline, we can handle.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way that marketing, advertising, branding has changed over time.
Absolutely.
You and I are of a certain age where we may have recalled things being literally printed in a newspaper, billboards, et cetera, which we still obviously have billboards. But the evolution of that has just been, very transformative in how people do business. I think of a certain football game that was the last football game of a certain professional organization that we all love to watch, and the commercials.
Yep.
And I noticed back in the 90s, if we go that far back, the .com one, there was a game where there was nothing but .com commercials. This time there was one where I was the best commercial, of course everybody has their opinion, was the one where it was a QR code.
Yeah.
And it was just bouncing around. And that's it. I was like, production cost of that had to be, of course, the airtime is ridiculous. But I was amazed, because when what did people do? Whipped out their phone.
And they scanned it. Absolutely.
And you had the ability to have a one-on-one or 1 on 8 million interaction to know when it was scanned, what part of the screen it was scanned, and gave feedback to that, which was a financial institution, of the take rate.
And data is important nowadays, and people give away their data all day long. And with advertising and marketing, capturing that data is important too, but also doing it in a safe way. And QR codes is one way that people have opinions about it, but nobody balked at the idea at a commercial. They went ahead and whipped out their phone and did it, and gave away their information in the process.
And so when you're consulting with people, how do you help them understand how to get their message, their information, their story out in a way that is safe in this era of digital piracy?
It's interesting, because a lot of people, one, they don't even know how to tell their story, because most of them try and make it about themselves versus the people that they serve. And once you put yourself as being the guide and actually teaching people how to work with you, that's how you actually put the customer into the driver's seat and actually make them the part of the story. And being able to transition that messaging is what's important and that's really what differentiates people, is where it's no longer a salesy thing. It's a come along with us, come along this journey.
Right, like an experience.
Exactly. And bring them into the fold versus consistently, bombarding them with sales pitches and things like that, because that no longer works. You have to actually have them involved and have to have an emotional involvement.
You were mentioning a lot of the work you do in the nonprofit space. One of the things you had mentioned as we were prepping for our interview today was your work with a veteran organization and some of the things you're doing with that. Thank you for that. I come from an Army family, so I very much appreciate your service to the veterans. What are you doing for them?
Actually, right now we're working with a local nonprofit called Hope for Veterans. We're actually redesigning their website, and it was one of those things where they didn't come to me. I kind of approached them, and then they came back to me as a referral. And that's what word of mouth is really what we do as far as our marketing. It's kind of weird because we don't really sell our own marketing. We rely on referrals, and we look at organizations, and we really kind of try to look at what they do and who they serve. And like this particular one, we're actually not even charging for their services because it made sense, because we wanted to align with a program here locally that's actually serving the community.
That's fantastic. So you got a lot of stuff going on. If people want to find out more about who you are, what you do, or what you're doing for the community, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
The best way for us is our website, which is HeartWiredDigital.com. And then obviously we can also be reached by phone, which is 904-660-5185.
So HeartWired, not hardwired.
Correct, HeartWired.
HeartWired. Thanks for joining us and telling us a little bit about what you do. We really appreciate that.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us on the Jacksonville Buzz. If you like us, share us, and remember, live with gratitude.